In February 2025, a joint Italian-Egyptian research team publishes updated thermal imaging and muon tomography data from the Giza Plateau. The results confirm what rogue geologists and banned research teams have been whispering about for nearly 4 decades. There is a large, rectangular void sitting 5 to 9 meters beneath the front paws of the Great Sphinx. It is not natural. The geometry is too precise. The edges are too clean. It appears to be a constructed chamber, sealed, untouched, and completely unexplored. And here is the part that should stop you cold. The Egyptian government knows it's there. They've known since at least 1987. Every single team that has ever requested permission to drill into that void, to lower a camera, to send down a probe, every single one has been denied, blocked, silenced, sent home. If there's nothing beneath the Sphinx, why has Egypt spent 30 years making sure no one can prove it? To understand what's happening in 2025, you have to understand that this discovery is not new. It's the confirmation of something that has been detected, redetected, and suppressed across 4 decades by multiple independent teams using completely different technologies. And every time the data points to the same location, directly beneath the Sphinx's paws. In 1987, a team from Waseda University in Tokyo, led by Professor Sakuji Yoshimura, conducted an electromagnetic sounding survey of the Giza Plateau. Their instruments detected a series of cavities and what appeared to be a tunnel running beneath the Sphinx enclosure. The data was published. Then nothing happened. In 1991, Boston University geologist Robert Schoch conducted his now famous geological survey of the Sphinx enclosure walls. His analysis of vertical fissures and deep weathering patterns in the limestone led him to a conclusion that shook Egyptology to its foundation. The erosion on the Sphinx was not caused by wind and sand. It was caused by water, sustained heavy rainfall, the kind of rainfall that hasn't existed on the Giza Plateau since roughly 7,000 to 5,000 BCE, and possibly earlier. Schoch's conservative estimate pushes the carving of the Sphinx back to at least 5,000 BCE. His extended analysis suggests it could be as old as 10,000 BCE, a full 6,000 years before mainstream Egyptology says dynastic Egypt even began. Then in 1996, Thomas Dobecki, a geophysicist working with Schoch's team from Florida State University, ran seismic refraction surveys around the Sphinx. His instruments detected a large, rectangular anomaly beneath the left paw. He estimated its dimensions at approximately 9 meters by 12 meters. A room. Not a crack, not a fault line. A room. 3 different countries, 3 different technologies, 3 different decades, the same result, and the same response from Egyptian authorities: access denied. Let's lay the evidence out piece by piece, because once you see it stacked together, the silence from Cairo becomes deafening. Start with the thermal imaging. On March 21, 1993, the spring equinox, a French-Egyptian thermal camera survey captured something striking. As the sun rose over Giza, the limestone of the Sphinx heated at a uniform rate, except for one area. The base of the left front paw cooled at a radically different rate than the surrounding stone. In thermodynamics, this means one thing: there is a different medium behind that surface. Air, a void, an open space where solid rock should be. Then there's the Waseda data from 1987. Professor Yoshimura's team didn't just find one cavity. They detected what they described as a hollow space beneath the front paws, a tunnel-like feature running from the Sphinx toward the second pyramid of Khafre, and additional anomalies south of the enclosure. Their full findings were presented at academic conferences in Japan and Egypt. Then the Egyptian Antiquities Organization, later renamed the Supreme Council of Antiquities, quietly revoked their permits. Yoshimura's team was not invited back. In 1996, Dobecki's seismic survey confirmed the rectangular anomaly and went further. His data showed that the rock directly above the void had different acoustic properties than the surrounding bedrock, suggesting it had been worked, cut, or hollowed rather than naturally formed. His instruments were precise, his methodology was peer-reviewed, his findings were published. And here's where it gets truly uncomfortable. In the year 2000, a series of internal memos from the Egyptian Antiquities Organization were leaked to independent researchers and partially published in Andrew Collins's book, Gods of Eden. These memos, attributed to internal communications among senior officials, reference, and this is critical, subterranean passage systems beneath the Giza Plateau requiring controlled access protocols. Not geological anomalies, not natural cavities. Passage systems with controlled access. The man at the center of all of this is Dr. Zahi Hawass, Egypt's former Minister of State for Antiquities Affairs, the most powerful figure in Egyptian archaeology for over 2 decades. Hawass has publicly called the chamber theories nonsense, American fantasy, and the work of people who know nothing about Egypt. He has personally blocked excavation permits from multiple international teams. He has dismissed Robert Schoch's water erosion thesis in television interviews without addressing the specific geological evidence. And in 2009, when asked directly on camera whether any tunnels exist beneath the Sphinx, Hawass walked off the interview set. Yet in a 1999 episode of Fox TV's Opening of the Lost Tombs, Hawass himself was filmed entering a shaft beneath the Giza Plateau on the causeway of Khafre, a shaft containing water-filled passages leading downward to chambers he described as very exciting. He was smiling. He was crawling through tunnels that he has publicly said do not exist. Now here's the layer that transforms this from an archaeological curiosity into something that threatens the entire framework of human history. If Robert Schoch is right, and no geologist has successfully debunked his water erosion analysis in over 30 years of trying, the Sphinx was carved before 5000 BCE, possibly before 10,000 BCE. That places its construction in the late Pleistocene, during or just after the last ice age. At that time, according to mainstream archaeology, humans were hunter-gatherers. No cities, no writing, no monumental architecture, no civilization. So who carved a 240-foot limestone monument with precise astronomical alignment on the Giza Plateau before civilization supposedly existed? This is not a fringe question. Schoch is a tenured professor at a major American university. His methodology has been presented at the Geological Society of America annual meetings. His work has been cited in peer-reviewed journals. The pushback has come almost entirely from Egyptologists, not geologists, and it connects to something else. The inventory stela, a limestone tablet discovered at Giza in the 19th century by Auguste Mariette, contains an inscription attributed to Pharaoh Khufu himself. In it, Khufu does not claim to have built the Sphinx. He claims to have found it, already damaged, already ancient, already buried in sand. Mainstream Egyptologists dismiss the inventory stela as a later fabrication from the 26th dynasty, but they cannot explain why its physical description of the Sphinx's condition matches the archaeological record of its earliest known restoration. The Roman historian Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BCE after visiting Giza, describes Egyptian priests telling him about vast underground chambers beneath the plateau, built beside an underground lake, housing the accumulated knowledge of a lost age. This isn't Herodotus speculating. He is recording what the Egyptian priesthood told him directly, as oral history, passed down across millennia. And then there is Edgar Cayce, the American mystic who, between the 1930s and his death in 1945, made repeated references in trance sessions to a hall of records buried beneath the Sphinx, a repository of documents, artifacts, and technology from a pre-flood civilization he identified with Atlantis. Cayce predicted the chamber would be discovered by 1998. It wasn't. But here's the unsettling detail. Cayce specified the location as being beneath the right paw of the Sphinx. The thermal anomaly detected in 1993 is under the left paw. Dobecki's seismic void is between both paws, slightly left of center. Cayce got the existence right, arguably got the approximate location right, and missed the date by roughly 3 decades, if the 2025 confirmation leads where the evidence suggests. So let's ask the question seriously. What are we actually looking at? Possibility 1. The voids are natural. Limestone karst formations create cavities all the time. The rectangular geometry detected by Dobecki is a coincidence of fracture planes. The thermal anomaly is caused by differential density in the bedrock. Egypt blocks excavation because drilling near a 5,000-year-old monument is genuinely risky, and they don't want Western researchers damaging a national treasure for a conspiracy theory. That is the rational explanation, and it accounts for some of the data. But it does not explain why internal memos reference passage systems. It does not explain why Hawass was filmed inside tunnels he denies exist. It does not explain why 4 independent teams across 4 decades, using 4 different technologies, all converge on the same anomaly in the same location. Possibility 2. There is a constructed chamber beneath the Sphinx. Egyptian authorities know about it. They may have already entered it, and they are controlling the timeline of disclosure, because what is inside could destabilize the foundational narrative of Egyptian identity, of human history itself. If that chamber contains artifacts, writings, or architectural evidence from a civilization predating dynastic Egypt by thousands of years, it doesn't just rewrite Egyptian history, it rewrites the human story, every textbook, every timeline, every assumption about when we became who we are. And possibility 3, the one nobody in any government wants to consider publicly. Someone already opened it. Someone already knows what's inside. And the 30-year blockade isn't about preventing discovery. It's about controlling what happens after. Hopshopt has announced a new excavation phase for 2025 and 2026, tied to the completion of the Grand Egyptian Museum near Giza. Heavy equipment has been spotted near the Sphinx enclosure. New ground surveys are underway. Whether this is the moment the chamber is finally acknowledged, or another carefully managed distraction, is the question that should keep every one of you watching. So here's what I want to know from you. Drop it in the comments. If they open that chamber tomorrow and let cameras inside, what do you think they'd find? Ancient texts? Empty stone? Something that was already quietly removed decades ago? Tell me your honest answer. If this is your first time here, this channel takes these mysteries seriously. We don't speculate beyond the evidence, we follow the data, name the names, and let the silence from the people in charge speak for itself. That's why the like button and the subscribe button matter. They're how this work reaches people who are asking the same questions you are. And if this one got under your skin, watch our video on the Younger Dryas impact theory next, because the timeline Robert Schoch is pointing to, it lines up with a global catastrophe at 12,800 years ago that mainstream science only accepted in 2018. That video is on screen now. I'll see you there.